This is KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and Tim Hankowich is in today to talk about. Good to see you. So we were off mic. We're still kind of basking in the afterglow of a great week.
Branford
with
Marsalis. I want to have his baby. He is just amazing artist. Sadly, an audience can't peer behind the curtain to see what's going on backstage. And he is such a great ambassador, a great person. Not every great artist is a great person. He is. I mean, what you see is what you get, and he's one of the most generous people I've ever met. A dream come true, and something I will never forget. To be able to share the stage with him. It was
a great moment. We had a lot of fun too. His interview that he did with Hollis here on KCCK that we uploaded to Facebook has almost 14,000 views.
Still not too late to view it.
Yeah, and it's still sitting there, and because it's had so many views, it's still kind of high up in the feed.
Yay!
And when we did the Q&A session on Saturday, he stayed until every person who wanted to say hi, get something signed, get a picture taken, until the last person went out the door.
Well, let me tell you also a more personal story, because during that Q&A, a student who was quite economically disadvantaged went up to him and said, "I'm interested in being a musician. I'm poor. What can I do?" And Branford took the opportunity. He signed everybody else's albums and stuff like that, but he took this kid aside, sat him down, and talked to him. And gave him some real life advice. I mean, that is an encapsulation of a great person and a great ambassador, and that was a beautiful moment to see.
Yeah, a great musician and a great person, and we are all the richer for having got to meet him and hang out with him a little bit.
Yeah,
but we move on.
We have to move on.
Yep.
Yes.
There's. You've got now we go from jazz with the orchestra to ballet.
Yeah, and we're going to a different strain of American music, and that's cowboy music. Our ballet this weekend is called the Wild Wild West.
And let's step back one step, because you said American music, but that's kind of the overarching theme of the year.
Right.
It is everything you've done has been American music.
Yeah, it's all cross. The great thing about this country is that there's no one monolithic American style. When you think of other countries, especially from Europe, the German style, I mean, there's certainly a much more concentration of style, whereas the United States is such a culturally diverse powerhouse. And so not only are we talking jazz, we're also talking about symphonic and classical, and in this case, cowboy. And so we're performing two of Aaron Copland's great ballets, Billy the Kid and Rodeo. And people who don't think they've heard this music before,
you have.
Yes, you have.
All I have to do is say the phrase, beef, it's what's for dinner.
Right. And the thing, when we were putting this together, I wanted to make the point that ballet is not just about tutus, tiaras, and nutcrackers. I think in today's society, most people are just familiar with the Nutcracker because it's a holiday tradition. It's a great ballet, and I recommend it highly, but there's more to the art form than this. And I think where audiences have difficulty with ballet is that it comes at a time in its golden age where the notion of film was still relatively new. And ballet requires the audience not only to see ballet as a device for storytelling, it's also about music in motion. It is about the art of body movement. And these pieces were written in the 1930s, and so film was still somewhat of a novelty. It was only after these ballets, maybe by a year or two, that Copland wrote the very first soundtrack to a Western called The Red Pony, starring Henry Fonda. And ever since that moment, every Western film score is based on the music of Copland. So when you, even today, when you hear a soundtrack, it is a ripoff of the music of Copland, which owes its allegiances and its origins to the music of ballet.
In the same way that every pilot who comes on the microphone to talk to you talks in Chuck Yeager's drawl.
Exactly right. So there's just these iconic moments, and so I wanted this to do this ballet music and these ballets. Not only just to bring in families, but to also to make sure that our audiences, of course, parents love to bring their little girls to ballet, but it's also it's not gender specific.
These are very masculine.
Yeah.
Pieces
Well,
as well.
it tells
and,
the story.
not to be sexist in one way or the other.
It tells the story of Billy the Kid, the great American outlaw. And Rodeo is basically a boy meets girl story at the corral. And so instead of point in ballet slippers, maybe it's on point in cowboy boots. How they do that, I don't know. Not my problem.
So you have so have you seen any of the choreography tapes,
yes.
rehearsal tapes,
yes.
or anything?
We usually get together about 2 or 3 weeks in advance, and even though sometimes the choreography is still a work in progress, I go there to make sure I can coordinate the music with certain things that they're doing as well. And so we've worked on this already, and they come in actually tomorrow, and we run it through, and it's ready for the weekend.
Okay, talking with Tim Hankowich about the Wild West Ballet coming up this weekend in Cedar Rapids and next weekend in the Quad Cities. We'll get specific about that in a second. You set this up in the previous concert so beautifully by playing the Copland Symphony. Yes,
yeah.
that not that this theme, but it introduces the theme of the Fanfare for the Common Man.
Exactly,
which is not a part of this.
No, but Copland was at the center of this American Revolution in music, and he had his fingers in so many different pots because Aaron Copland's use of rhythm has its allegiances directly to the roots of jazz, all the syncopation. Jazz from the 1920s, not the swing that we would necessarily, and later that we would consider today, but certainly the music of Gershwin and Joplin, for example. That all found its way into his music as his calling card. And then he transforms that rhythmic use into the use of folk song, which gives us this American sound, which led to, of all things, cowboy music. Who knew?
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
This is, and it's of course you also have to play in the pit.
Yes.
Which is a little bit of different experience for the orchestra,
and
getting everybody in the pit.
Right. One of the beautiful things about the orchestra playing ballet, it opens up more repertoire for us. It requires the orchestra to be much more flexible because tempos need to change dramatically and sometimes differently from performance to performance. It's a different acoustical environment. And so it gives the orchestra skills that you wouldn't necessarily just, that they would acquire on their own just in the concert experience. What I also like about the pit and doing ballet music is that a lot of the times composers would write these ballets, Stravinsky, for example, and Copland, and then realize they had a hit on their hand and then rewrite it in a symphonic suite form for concert performance.
Oh, and sure. So you wouldn't have to necessarily have the
right.
dancers.
So you wouldn't necessarily have to have the ballet, but as a result, a lot of music is left on the cutting room floor. So even though you can hear Billy the Kid in concert performance and Rodeo, the music is actually slightly different. There are the music that survived in concert format is missing about 20% of the music on the cutting room floor. And so it's kind of neat as we're playing along and I'm looking at the musicians who are used to playing Hoedown for the billionth time and then realize, oh, this isn't the same. It's somewhat different. And so it re-energizes their creative juices as well.
It's like the extended cut.
Yes, it's exactly the extended cut. So we're really, it's great to be able to perform this music as it was originally intended.
Orchestra Iowa performing with the Quad Cities, with Ballet Quad Cities. This weekend, so your Saturday and Sunday.
Yep, Saturday at 7:30 at the Paramount, and then a Sunday matinee at 2:30.
And then next week, if for some reason you can't get there this weekend, you'll repeat the entire thing twice at the Adler Theater.
Drive all the way to Davenport, and you get 2 chances at 1:30 in the afternoon, and I think a 7:30 performance as well.
Next to the Paramount.
That's right.
The Adler is my second favorite room, so that's not a bad deal either. Well, sounds like a blast. I'm looking forward to it.
A great 2 weeks.
My dancer wife will be in the audience with me, and we'll be looking forward to another great concert with Orchestra Iowa.
Bring your cowboy hat, but check your guns at the door.
Okay. Yes. Despite what happens in the legislature this week, there will be no firearms allowed in the Paramount.
Right. Yeah.
Tim Hankowich from Orchestra Iowa. Thanks.
All right. Good to see you.